Welcome to Not Starving Artist, the podcast. I'm your host, Brooke Benson, money coach and equity actor. I am your financial cheerleader, here to help you build your financial confidence and have power over your money. The best part, no budgeting or bi-weekly paychecks required. I went from being a broke BFA grad having weekly panic attacks about money to a financially confident, wealth-building actor and business owner. Money gets to feel fun, simple, and sexy, and I am going to show you how. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are talking about not spreadsheeting your life away. Whether you are someone who loves spreadsheets and it makes you like all tingly and excited, right? Whether you're that type of person or whether you're the type of person who like hears the word Excel and it makes you gag, both types of people need to learn how to not spreadsheet your life away. So when I talk about these two specific people, the person who loves spreadsheets, I want to pull you more out of your spreadsheets in order to focus on the stuff that you're like projecting into your spreadsheets, right? Spreadsheets are a really easy place for our anxiety to feel like it has some control and can be used as a buffering mechanism. I'm going to talk about my experience with that. And then I also want to talk about the person who like wants to gag when they think about a spreadsheet and like literally their eyes glaze over when you look at, Google Sheets or whatever you're using. That type of person, I want to talk to you about how there are so many other ways to have financial wellness and prioritize your money and make money moves that don't involve a spreadsheet. I want to pull you out of the narrative of I have to be good at spreadsheets and math and organized and in order to do money. I want to pull you out of like that being the only thing that you see as the route to financial wellness, because that thinking is just going to keep you stuck. It's going to keep you in the mindset of, haha, I'm broke, or just like, I'm never going to be able to figure this out. This is just my life. There's another way. We don't have to spreadsheet our lives away in order to have financial wellness. So I want to start with my personal experience with spreadsheets. For those of you who don't know, I used to be a budgeting girly. I used to be like a spreadsheet girl. I was super organized. Those of you who know me from college, you knew I was like a passion planner girl. I was very much like type A, organized. I had the color coding, like everything was written down. And then when I got really into like budgeting, it was like line item tracking. That $1.62 Diet Coke that I picked up on the way home from rehearsal, you bet your ass that was going in the spending tracker journal. Like that used to be my life, y'all. And I've talked about this on the podcast before, but that kind of meticulous tracking and even just my type A energy in general, I actually don't think I'm a type A person. I really don't. Like, I am a creative brain at heart. But what I think happened along the way is I also have hella anxiety. And so with my anxiety, that type A personality like started to develop in order to help me process my anxiety. And it was like, okay, if we have everything organized, if we have our hands on everything, if we see every line item of spending, if we have everything written out on our planner, everything's fine, right? Like that is what I realized that type A side of me was trying to do. It was a lot of, my anxiety isn't purely circumstantial, but I've entered into a career path very early on that was fluctuating, inconsistent, right? A career in the arts, a career owning your own business, self-employed, right? That kind of lifestyle does not lend itself to stability. And we're all realizing that like stability is a facade in every career path, right? But when we're talking about a career in the arts, like that's where my brain went. And so my anxiety needed something to like cling onto. And I talk all the time about money being such a great scapegoat for what our real anxieties are, or what the real problems are, the real issues are. Money is really easy to pin a lot of things on. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't mean like money problems don't exist. They do, but we have to be very like onto ourselves of what's an actual money problem and what are we just using as a scapegoat, or what are we using to buffer, or what are we using to feel like we have a sense of control. So when I was in this spreadsheet budgeting girl era, what was happening was I thought I was like managing my money anxiety by like making sure I was seeing everything, like everything was perfectly tracked, da da da. But what was happening is that the micromanagement became an obsession, right? I was obsessed with making sure my spreadsheets were up to date and where my dollars were going. And I was so hyper focused on every little dollar. And what that actually did was it fueled my financial anxiety rather than helping me move through it, right? Like my iron grip, right? When I was so tense and had my fingers clenched around everything possible in my spreadsheet, just made everything else feel more tense and more anxiety, right? And so the thing that was trying to help me feel less financial anxiety was actually the thing that was fueling it, okay? So when I let go of my iron grip, and when I tell this story on a podcast episode a while back. It's called Budgeting Ruined My Mental Health. You should go listen to it. It's a great episode. I dive much deeper into like my personal story with this. But what I was realizing was like, oh, I'm having panic attacks about money and I have $23,000 in savings. The math ain't mathing, right? Like there's something deeper here. What I'm doing isn't working because I'm still having panic attacks and I'm blaming it on money. But like the money is not, I see the money in the bank account. I can see that I am not going to starve and be homeless, but here we are still panicking. And so what that led me to discover is, I had to go on a journey of just like releasing a grip. And for those of you who are type A or have gone through something like this yourself, of having to like release control, especially if you're a perfectionist, again, a little bit of perfectionism over here, right? Releasing that is like a terrifying process. But like when you're releasing and when you're freeing yourself into like, and this is how everything that I teach inside of money, this is where it came from. When I released my grip and I was like, what if it was different? What if I didn't have to be in a spreadsheet? What if I didn't have to budget? What if I didn't have to line item track? Because I was realizing all of these things were the things that were fueling my anxiety. And also not really having a system to manage fluctuating income. I was trying to fit myself into like the budgeting hole that I was being shoved into, and it was painful. And I was like, okay, like what if we stop trying to shove me into that budgeting hole of my fluctuating income? And what if I create my own hole? I regret using the whole analogy here, but that's where everything that I teach comes from, was that season of life where I had to release. And so why I'm telling that story is because I'm not saying that spreadsheets are evil or the devil. I'm not saying that budgeting is going to ruin everyone's mental health, but what I'm saying is that it's really easy for it to tip into that territory. It happened to me, and I've seen it happen to so many other people. And so what does it look like to not spreadsheet your life away? And what does it look like when you have the knowledge that there is another way to achieve financial wellness that doesn't require that of you, right? If you truly are someone who has like never touched a spreadsheet because you can't, there's another way. So let's talk about what the other way is. I've created something called the money flow method. Those of you who have been around a while, you have heard me talk about this. The money flow method is an anti-budgeting cash flow system. It automates your money management and allows you to spend without guilt and hit your savings goals. So this is a series of bank accounts that are crafted. It's like a machine that you run your money through. And this works for fluctuating income. That's so key because so much of the financial anxiety that I experienced and that I hear from so many of you is just the confusion of how do I manage it when it fluctuates? Because I can't percentage it out like I could a biweekly paycheck. And when it is inconsistent, like how do I still pay myself the same? Or how do I still live the same lifestyle rather than going from like lavish lifestyle to ramen budget, right? This machine is built for fluctuating income. Also, for my 9-to-5 hotties, you can still run your biweekly paychecks through this. The thing I say is like a rectangle can't be a square, but a square can be a rectangle. Wait, let me make sure I said that right. A rectangle can't be a square, but a square can be a square and a rectangle. Oh my God, that's embarrassing if that's wrong. No, but that's right. So it's like the money flow method works for both fluctuating income and biweekly paychecks, but budgeting and percentaging out your paycheck only really works for biweekly paychecks. It doesn't transfer over to fluctuating income. So I just wanted to give that caveat for those of you who do have consistent income. The money flow method can bring you into, can run your money as well. So this is a machine that your money runs through, and it's automated. And what it does is it splits up your two different types of spending, which is your flex spending and your firm spending. Your firm spending is your bills, your rent, your auto pays, and those are in a totally different checking account that you fill up at the beginning of the month, so you don't have to worry about something getting pulled from your account that you forgot about, or doing the mental math of like, can I buy this thing because I know my rent check is hitting soon? You don't have to worry about that. It's separated. And then you have another checking account for your flex spending. That's your playground spending. That's your groceries, your food, your entertainment, your whatever. And throughout the month, you just get to play with that spending. So that's how you can still hit your money goals without having spending guilt and spending freely. Because yes, you are putting an amount into that checking account that you want to spend throughout the month, but you're not like categorizing it out. Like you don't have an amount that you're allowed to spend on eating out and like, oh no, if you went over, like that's not how this works. So you can just spend freely inside of that account throughout the month. And then you also have automatic payments going to your savings account, going to your debt payoff, going to your retirement. Like you can build all of that out in the money flow method. So what would be in a complicated spreadsheet, like if you've downloaded a budgeting template before in a spreadsheet, or you've tried to like do your own math and calculate all the categories and what you would need to, it's taking all of that and it's actually putting it into your bank account. Because I'm sure so many of you have experienced this, where you do something inside of a spreadsheet and then it doesn't translate to what's happening in your bank account. You're like, but that math, that means I should have X amount in the bank account. It's not there. Or you like line out this perfect budget that's like extremely particular down to the penny. And then in actual implementation, as you're going through the month and spending, like you're not looking at your spreadsheet every day, right? Or if you are, right, we've tipped into obsessive territory of like, oh no, I went $1 over in my entertainment fund and now I feel like shit because I didn't stick to the budget. Insert the fucking blackout spiral, right? So it's taking whatever you're doing in a spreadsheet, which the whole goal of doing things in a spreadsheet is so you can hit your money goals, right? Or have money left over at the end of the month. What the money flow method does is it just like does that for you in the bank accounts. And it's not, all the numbers that we play with are more on the macro level. So we're not looking at like each line item of spending and how everything is adding up. What it's doing is it's looking at like overall, what are you bringing in on average, or how much does it fluctuate? Overall, what's the range of what you're spending? What is your amount that's for your flex, your firm account, your bills account? And then what's the number that you spend on the flex stuff? Like we're looking at those big numbers rather than getting real nitty gritty in the details, which again can tip over into like obsessive tracking and micromanagement. So you're not going to have to comb through line items in your bank account and like categorize them in your budgeting spreadsheet with this. Instead, all you're going to have to do is just throughout the month, once a week throughout the month, you just check in on your bank account, look at your flex spending account, see how much you've got in the account, and then you automatically know how much you have to play with, how much you have to spend. You won't have to be thinking, can I afford this? Because your bank account will tell you. Your numbers are going to tell you what you have available to you without having to do mental math, without having to double check on a spreadsheet. The other thing I want to throw in here too is that if you use credit cards, the money flow method works. You just switch out a bank account with a credit card. So I only spend on credit cards. So my like flex spending is a flex spending credit card and my firm spending is a firm spending credit card. Okay. Spreadsheets take a lot of time to manage. They take a lot of time to manage. Like that's why it hasn't worked for you, because you need something that's going to take less time to manage, something that is more automated and still gives you full awareness of your money. Like we don't just want your money on autopilot in the background where you're never seeing it, right? You want to have full awareness and understanding of what's happening in your dollars without actually having to go in and like track and move and do all of the things every week or every day, however often your current money management system is taking you. And this is especially if you're a freelancer with fluctuating income. If you own a business and your income fluctuates, anyone who is outside of that consistent biweekly paycheck structure, spreadsheets are harder for you because the numbers aren't as consistent. And spreadsheets want consistent numbers. They're begging for consistent numbers. And so what ends up happening is like What you're trying to do in like the budget spreadsheet or however you're doing your numbers in the spreadsheet is it's just reinforcing and fueling your money anxiety, like the belief that you can't get your money shit together without a biweekly paycheck, which is 1,000% untrue. But the spreadsheet is helping to reinforce that. Like the money flow method was built for artists. By an artist. It was built for people who hate budgeting or don't want to budget. By someone who budgeting was horrible for her mental health and she had to stop. Like, that's what this money flow method was built for. So I'm going to talk about one of my clients recently who she actually just moved to the UK. When we started working together, that was her goal. She was going on sabbatical from her job and she really wanted to move back to the UK. And now she's officially there, which is so exciting. But as she was transitioning into this move, one of the things we were doing is we were basically estimating and making a plan for what her new lifestyle in the UK would be and would cost. So like, what would her new rent be? The currency exchange, right? Like, what are her dollars going to be worth over there? What are her savings going to be when they're transferred over to pounds? We were looking at like her new job and her commute and all of the factors of what she expects to be spending on food and friends and lifestyle stuff. And so she made this beautiful spreadsheet, this really intense spreadsheet with all the different details. And I do want to say, like, spreadsheets can be a useful tool if they work for your brain. And so she created this incredible spreadsheet where she had like all these different scenarios of like more of like the tighter margin scenario. Then we've got the cushy scenario. And then we've got the one in the middle, one where she was making higher retirement contributions, one where she was making lower. So she would have more money for her travel. She did all the different scenarios, right? So we had this playground of, okay, now we have something to work with. So when she went to start looking for rentals for like flats in London, what we were looking at is like, okay, what is the range? What is the top range for like the perfect apartment comes your way, the perfect flat comes your way? What is the max that you would want to spend on that? And so with this spreadsheet, we were able to look through, and this was one of our coaching sessions where we were deciding on what that number would be. So this spreadsheet was so great for that because we got to run different rental numbers through all of her scenarios. Okay, so then she got the flat, dream flat. It's a beautiful place. But then what was happening is she was finding herself going back to the spreadsheet over and over and over. And what we were talking about was what I was coaching her on is that there was nothing more that the spreadsheet could give her in that time. She'd run all the scenarios. She was using it for what it needed to be used for, which was deciding on like what she could spend on the flat. But now the work of the spreadsheet is done. There's no more things that the spreadsheet can do for you. The only thing that's left to do is see which scenario is most accurate when you're actually over there spending the money, doing the things. But what was happening is she's obviously starting a whole new phase of her life, right? And so like new city, new friends, new job, just a huge move, going to work after being on sabbatical for a year, huge changes in her life. And so all of these changes were, of course, bringing up anxiety, bringing up fear, bringing up emotions that are sometimes hard to sit with and move through. And she has been such a fucking trooper because she's had just like a lot of stuff that has been hitting her over the past year. And she has been having some incredible growth. I'm just so incredibly proud of her. And now the move is finally here. The new job, it's all finally happening. And that is so equally exciting and terrifying. And so, of course, you're going to be feeling a fuck ton of things. And so what was happening is that spreadsheet became the place to try and feel like she was in control, to try and feel like she could spreadsheet her way into feeling better. And that is just not what a spreadsheet is there to do. Right? And so we had to pull her out of the spreadsheet to figure out like what was she really trying to have control over, or what was she really trying to feel? What was she trying to solve with the spreadsheet that needed to be solved elsewhere, right? Like through nervous system work, through thoughts that were going on in her head, through like other tactical things that needed to happen or be worked through that felt harder than the spreadsheet, right? There were other things there, but we had to pull her out of the spreadsheet in order to figure out what those things were. So I'm talking to my people who love the spreadsheets, who love the numbers, who check in their bank accounts once a day, multiple times a day. I want you to try, if you pull yourself out of those things, what comes up? Like, what are you hoping to get from looking at the bank accounts all the time or looking at the numbers all the time? Where's the fear actually coming from? What are you trying to solve for? Because I hate to break it to you, the math is easy. The math, when we're doing math like this, it is straight addition and subtraction. A straight addition and subtraction. X plus X minus Y plus Z plus A plus B minus C. That's it. We pop that thing in that Apple calculator. Done. That's the kind of math that we're doing. So the math is actually really simple and really easy. So what I want to offer to you is that a lot of times it's the feelings about the math and how the math is adding up, or what you think the math is going to add up to look like, that's causing you to look at it all the time, right? Like if I look at it enough, or if I just keep my eyes on it, it can't change and it can't do anything scary, right? So what happens when you pull yourself away from it, right? It might feel a little scary, but it's required of you to figure out where your financial anxiety is actually coming from, or pull yourself away from it long enough to decide and figure out how you are going to create a new financial reality, rather than just trying to like iron grip the one that you currently have to make sure nothing more bad happens, right? You have to pull yourself away in order to be thinking in that realm. Okay, so now I want to talk to my people who are not spreadsheet people at all. One of my dear friends, she goes, I'm not good at maths, and I'm really terrified about the math part of money. And so I also want to speak to those people of, just because there's like a little bit of numbers involved in money doesn't mean that you're gonna have to become this like finance bro, this professional who's super organized and like magically becomes really good at spreadsheets and budgeting. You don't have to change who you are in order to be really great at money. Again, like I was talking about the money flow method, this thing takes less than an hour a month to manage. And you don't need to do a bunch of complicated math equations. Just X plus B equals C, boom, done. That's the math you're doing, and that's it. And inside of one-on-one coaching, I actually do the math on screen with my clients a lot of the times to, one, just articulate how simple it is, but also sometimes like doing something that you don't love, like plugging numbers into a calculator, can feel overwhelming. So like we do it together. So going back to the fear of the spreadsheets and having to be that kind of person, like the money flow method eliminates so much of that. And I also want to speak to you about, you're not giving yourself enough credit for how smart you actually can be financially, because you've decided that money is something that you can't be good at because you're not good at math and because you're not good at spreadsheets and because you're not good at budgeting. What if you implanted the thought, I'm really good at money? What would that then require of you, right? What would that then mean for you, right? If it is true that you are really bad at difficult math, if you are, I got an F on my pre-calc final, by the way, in high school. I do feel like I have a math brain, right? Like it does numbers really well. But I also want to tell you that like there's a limit to my math brain, right? I got an F on that pre-calc final. I fell asleep during one of the most pivotal lessons. There was some kind of circle. Those of you who know pre-calc, you know what I'm talking about. Some kind of snail shell looking thing that is pivotal for you to know in pre-calc. And I just didn't learn it. And I fell asleep, and then I got an F on a final, and I squeaked by in that class with a C because I did some extra credit and recorded some math music videos to like Tipsy by Jay Kwan. So I want to be very clear that like you do not have to be a math whiz to be fantastic at this, to be so good at this. And are there some things that you can learn, not necessarily like math skills and principles, because you don't need a lot of that, but when you have the thought, I'm really good at money, the opportunity that opens up in your brain of not just are you already really good and capable at managing a simple system, but what other things are you capable of learning so that you can actually ingrain that thought, like I'm a badass with money. Are you taking time to like binge these podcast episodes and really learn about other ways to do money, because you've got the thought, I'm a badass with my money and I'm not good at high-tech math, I'm not good at spreadsheets, I'm not good at budgeting, but that doesn't mean shit about how good I get to be at money, right? When you have that thought, you show up differently. You start acting differently. You actually are thinking that there's a possibility for you to be really good at money. And when you believe there's a possibility for you to be really good at money, you start looking for the avenues that you need to walk down in order to make that true. Instead of just having eyes closed or head in the sand or feeling hopeless because all that other stuff that you think it takes to be good at money is not accessible to you. You do not have to be a different person to be good at money. I'm going to say that until I'm blue in the face. You are a creative gem of a human being. And if you hate spreadsheets, that is okay. Financial wellness is available to you. I feel like I'm the shepherd who's going out to like the nether regions of the pasture being like, the sheep who don't like to eat grass, I'm here for you. I've got the hay for you. You don't have to eat grass. You can eat hay. I don't actually know what sheep eat. So insert whatever sheep actually eat if you know what sheep eat. I will say that till I'm blue in the face because I want you to fully believe that you are worthy enough and capable enough exactly as you are, that your creative brain is a gift or that your neurodivergent brain is a gift. Whatever kind of brain you have, whatever personality you have that is beautiful and that is uniquely you, that is not the enemy here. Right? You do not have to be at war with who you are in order to have money support you. You don't. So let's just have the thought, I can be fantastic at money and I don't have to change who I am. And then let's see what comes of that. Again, the money flow method is meant to be so simple and like take less than an hour a month because I want you to focus so much more of your time on the shit you were put on this earth to do. Most of you, your purpose on this earth is not to teach people about money, is not to be a finance bro, is not to be the money whiz. That's beautiful and incredible. So let's not spend hours and hours a week managing your money. Get out of here. 1 hour a month and then go shine your light in the world. Get out of your spreadsheet and go make art. That is what we are doing here. Whew, I just got real heated. As you can tell, I am fucking in love with the artists of the world, with the creatives of the world, with all of you who are like brave enough to acknowledge your creativity and put it out there. And like, even when I go to EPAs and I see all of my actors like sitting in the waiting rooms with me, I'm like, you're all so beautiful. Like, how incredible that so many of us exist and are bringing this light into the world. And so how dare money? How dare the narratives about money that are pervasive in the world make you feel like there is something that is wrong with you because you can't figure that out? There is absolutely nothing wrong with you. The money narratives are wrong. The structure is wrong. The box that is being put around you when it comes to money management is wrong. You are not wrong. It is so important that you protect this beautiful gem of creativity that you have inside of you. So let's create a simple money management system, 1 hour a month, and then go do what you were meant to do. All right, everyone. I hope you have a fantastic week. Oh, and it's April. Happy April. Y'all know this is my birthday month and it's Aries season. No wonder I got so passionate on the podcast today. I love April. I love my birthday. I love Aries season. This is one of my favorite months. It's also Financial Literacy Month. I mean, hello. How divine and beautiful is that? So April's gonna be a great fucking month. And I hope you all have a wonderful start to your month. And I will see you next week. Thanks so much for tuning in. Come join me on Instagram for more on how to build a simple, sexy relationship with your money. My Instagram handle is @NotStarvingArtists. And if you want to dive deeper with me, head to the show notes to learn more about one-on-one coaching. If you love this episode, subscribe, leave a review, and share it with a friend that you want to get rich with.